His name is Roger, and the retired airline mechanic lives in Suffolk County. Now 80, the grandfather of 7 decided to pick up the phone on a recent morning without checking caller ID.
The person on the phone kept saying, "Grandpa, Grandpa, do you know who this is?" I said, who is this? She says, "Grandpa, you know who this is." And I mentioned her name, Michelle.
That was Roger's first mistake. He had given the name of a granddaughter who had recently married.
And I said, "You don't sound like Michelle."
But the crying woman convinced Roger she was in California in a car that had been stopped by police. The driver had marijuana under the seat. A man got on the phone asking for $4,000 in bail money.
He says, "You have to go to Target and take out two $2,000 cards." I said, "Target?"
But Roger hopped in his pickup and did what he was told.
As soon as Roger withdrew the $4,000 in cash from his bank, he drove here to the Target in Medford, Long Island, and was ready to follow through with the instructions to buy 2 gift cards at $2,000 apiece.
With the Target receipt in hand, Roger went home and called what he thought was a police precinct.
What was the number you were supposed to call at the so-called precinct?
There was 1778.
That area code is not California, it's British Columbia in Canada. Roger gave the gift card numbers to the man who answered.
041.
Minutes later, Michelle, a registered nurse, called her grandfather and was alarmed to hear what had happened. She called her mother, Roger's daughter, who raced to Target and met the manager who had sold the cards.
She went online and on her computer and said there's a zero balance.
The 2 cards had been converted into smaller denominations of $1,000 apiece at a Target in Edgewater, New Jersey. The manager remembered that Roger had been nervous when he came to the store.
And she said to me, "I knew it. I suspected it was something." And I said to her, "Why didn't you say something?"
Roger went to the 4th precinct in Suffolk and filed a police report recounting the phony story from California. The Edgewater Police Department is also working the case. The story is a familiar one to Greg Pavlidis, Bureau Chief of the Economic Crimes Unit in the Queens District Attorney's Office.
Who's being targeted?
Anyone who's going to be willing to answer their phone and speak to people.
John McLaughlin of Douglaston, Queens, who's turning 90 soon, fell for a scam almost identical to Roger's and transferred money out of his bank account.
How much money did you give?
$7,500.
Back to Roger. His daughter is upset that Target allowed the 2 cards to be converted to 4.
Target should have stopped those 4 gift cards that were transferred. They were still open and unused, unspent.
When Pix 11 tried to speak to supervisors at the Medford Target,
"I need to get you our number for media relations. This is not something that we're at liberty to discuss in the store."
the Target guest relations specialist had already emailed Roger and Kathy that, quote, Target is not responsible and cannot reimburse you. Then it took nearly 2 business days for the Target spokeswoman in Minnesota to give Pix 11 a statement, which didn't answer our questions and said in part, quote, we are aware of scams like these and have communicated to our store teams in the area. Additionally, we are actively working with law enforcement. Roger hopes his story will serve as a cautionary tale.
A lot of old people are getting hit with this stuff because, you don't really think I should have known better. So I blame myself.
I'm Mary Murphy, Pix 11 News.